Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all you people out there on Facebook or YouTube. Been a beautiful day in Nelson, BC. We went for a walk down to the park today, and with a little bit of sunshine, but it was really mild, like a spring day, and very little snow down by the park at all. Still some snow on the hills, and I see the snow is about one third the way down Elephant Mountain. So I think spring is on the way. I'd like to talk about a topic about high. How high is the sky? Is it infinity? Or and the point I tried to make was the definition of about the amazing power that we have as individuals. And we're talking about things as either could be in a family, mom or dad, or family members, or supervisors, just anybody who has the power of speech. Now, what we say to people has a profound effect on them. Think about the singer. We're talking about people like Elvis Presley and Little Richard and some of those guys. And they go on the stage and they sing and perform for people. Sometimes they're talking about an audience of 100,000 people or more. And they sing, and after the song is over, the people in the audience are clapping their hands and whistling and cheering them on, and they're really telling that they're doing a heck of a job. And that's recognition. Now, the entertainer, whether it's a guitar player or a singer or whatever they get instant recognition. Now, because they're performing music or something that's appealing to the ears of people, and people are turned on by music, whether it doesn't matter whether it's country music or whether it's jazz or whatever your venue is, music is the thing that creates happiness. And it's a pleasing sound to the eardrums, and it brings back memories. Sometimes when you listen to a gospel song, you might even shed a tear because the song reminds you of probably some tune that was played at a funeral of a friend of yours or a close family member. So music has the power to invoke happiness or sadness, whichever the case may be. And I think sometimes we underestimate the power of songs and music. Music is the happiness, the glue that keeps society together. Now, in this last 3 years we had with this COVID virus thing that was going around, it almost ruined society. We had people sitting in their rooms because they were told not to go out on the street, stay in your house, watch TV, and see what's going on. Well, they did all right. They just watched more of the fear mongering, and got even more scared of going out because they got told about all the people that got sick and died, and it was just a total fear thing, and it even ruined neighborhoods where people used to talk over the fence and greet each other, and people go down for a beer or go for a coffee and enjoy themselves socially. But with the fear mongering went on with the virus, it almost ruined society. People become very suspectful of everybody, and it was a fear mongering tactic right across the board. There's a few people that are still frightened yet because they're a little bit afraid, and I've taken the other approach, whether you think it's right or wrong. I've taken the approach that when you wake up in the morning, if you feel good, have yourself a nice breakfast and go for a walk, 3 or 4 miles if you're able to walk, and enjoy yourself. And if you see some people stop and talk to them and talk about whatever you want and talk about happy stuff. And if you see some people that you don't know, simply walk over and introduce yourself. And if they will talk to you, strum up a conversation and find out where they're from. Like this morning, we met some people from Alberta. We met some people from other parts of the world too. They were from the UK, And what a really nice time we had talking about this and that. And the Kootenays, they were just oohing and awing about about Nelson, BC, and the scenery and the lake and the mountains, and it's very attractive. So I think what's going to happen, Nelson's going to be overran by people that want to move out of the big cities and move here because it's a nice, quiet setting in the mountains. So we may see an increase in our population here. I guess the point that I'm really shooting for is the fact that the power of recognition can't be underestimated. And with young kids growing up, if you've got a child and the child that does some accomplishments, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's cleaning up the room or whether it's catching a fish or throwing a snowball or whatever it is, nice job. You've done a really good job there. Nice job. And that recognition is very powerful because it makes the person feel like they're part of the organization. Now, in the case if it's a family, the person or the child feels part of the family, and the fact that the mama or the dad gives them a pat on the back once in a while is really powerful. It motivates them to try and get more. So I think, in society, to try and build things up, since we went through this damn scare of the virus all over the world, and people were just frightened out of their bloody shoes, it behooves us as good neighbors to talk to people, share things, talk about the good places we can go and see, and if you know any good holiday spots, share that with information with people, because it's a good neighbor policy. And I think recognition is really powerful. If you have people working for you, recognition in the form of writing or a plaque or anything like that, it generates goodwill, pictures in the paper and or write-ups in the paper, and anything that draws attention. Now we found with the government operation, they had what they call a recognition, where if you had an idea that saved money, suggestion awards program. We had one person who was involved in surveying, came up with a new method of surveying and keeping track of the process, measurements and stuff like that, and he actually got a reward of about $3,500. And there were lots of people who got smaller money amounts, and they got recognition by pen and pencil sets, a letter from the manager of the department. But anything that we can give in recognition, that's one of the things we have to learn that the Japanese, the Chinese people have done for years, is recognition to promote productivity. So the way I understand it, they have quality circles in a lot of the offshore manufacturing. They have quality circle meetings where they sit down on a weekly basis and they talk to the employees. Hey, Billy, how's it going in your section? And they get a chance to talk, and he said, has anybody got any ideas how we can save any money? So they put that out on the table, and they've got some applications. If anybody's got any thoughts, bring it up here or write it down on a piece of paper, take some pictures, and make that recommendation. And the suggestion awards program they had with the government was fantastic. A lot of people got involved in that, and got money as recognition. And like I understand it, in some of the companies now, whether the manufacturing companies, they're actually giving free trips to Japan and Honolulu and places like that. Mexico, you come up with a good idea, and you save a company a bunch of money. Let's say you come up with a simple award, you come up with a simple suggestion that can save $10,000 or $15,000. An instant recognition is they get a cash award for that, or a free trip to a holiday destination, and compliments of the suggestion. Now that's a fantastic way to motivate people to bring stuff forward. And as a supervisor, if you think about it from the other way around, most people who are employed with organizations are, in many cases, are union members. So their wages are guaranteed in the contract. Their holidays are guaranteed in the contract by contract rule. So the supervisor coming to work in the morning has not much to motivate the people other than to greet them at the door and say, good morning, thanks for coming to work. We really got a busy day for you, and thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate that. And then during the day, when they finish a job, if they allotted time, let's say they allotted time to do the job with 6 hours, and the person done the job in 4 hours and actually made money for the company, a simple recognition for performance there is in order. Now, whether the performance is just some simple words, or whether it's a recognition of 1 or 2 hours of overtime, or whether the whole crew gets to go for dinner, whether you take them out for dinner, everybody goes as a result of the recognition award for the crew. If it's a crew deal, they all go for supper with their wives. So, and when the word gets out that they're giving recognition out, the guys in the field pull harder because they say, well, look at this crew over there got a recognition award for doing a better job at surveying or a better job at whatever the case may be, whether it's putting sand out on the highway. If they got a better way of doing it and saved the company a lot of money, some of that money gets given back to the employees as a cash benefit or a holiday benefit or a simple supper out where they all go out for lunch together and celebrate as a group. Now, when that word spreads between the organizations that there is some reward for performance ratings, that's a great thing because people work hard to try and beat the standard. So if the standard is, like if the standard for do something is 4 hours and you do it in 2 hours and you get the job done properly and you get recognition for it, that's a great motivational tool. And we used to have a magazine called the Roadrunner magazine, and they took a lot of pictures in that, and they were taking of crews that had came up with some specific ideas of doing things, or just crews out working on the road with all their safety vests on and recognition for doing a job well done. And that was a great motivational tool, and there were a lot of people who made some dollars on that one. A lot of people got some simple recognition like a pen and pencil set, or maybe a letter, or maybe a couple $100. It doesn't take much. In the form of verbal recognition, when a person does a job, they shows up and they do the job. It's really great for the supervisor to go and say, look, we really appreciate the good job you did there, and thanks a lot. You're a great employee, and we love having you around. You're a pride in our group. So personal recognition and crew recognition is very powerful. And in the school system, and if students are, and usually the teacher he's the person that has the carrot. You got a teacher where the teacher spends a lot of time with the students to make sure that they understand the assignment. And because the old method of standing there in front and broadcasting kind of goes over the heads of some people, but the hands-on approach where the people are shown with hands-on is by far the best way to go. Gets the message across. And there's no reason why every student in the room cannot get an A or a high mark, a passing mark, at least a good passing mark. But the teaching, a hands-on principle of teaching, is one of the far better methods of doing things. And some verbal recognition for a job well done. Now just back up a little bit and pretend you're at a concert and you're going to see maybe it's the late Merle Haggard, maybe it's his sons putting on a quote recognition award program for the dad. All the people in the audience there are just clapping away and hollering out the names of songs they want to hear, and the people are performing, and the people in the audience are clapping and smiling and cheering, and that's the instant gratification. And that's from the crowd of people. Very powerful. Now, as people, if we can incorporate some of that into our daily lives with our wives and husbands and family members and neighbors, if we can incorporate some of those methods into getting along with our people, think how much better the world would be a better place to live in. Where everybody's happy and cheering one another on and say, "Hey, great, you got yourself a new truck today, all cleaned up and showing up." And words of recognition are very powerful, and that's why there's been attempts across the globe to try and trying to shut down the church systems, because the preachers or the priests or the preachers, pastor, has a very powerful quietening effect on the flock. Talks to them about the Word of God and how you do this and how you do that, and some words of recognition, and they finally realize that those people there have a lot of power. And sometimes the people, some of the other leaders in the community are saying, "Oh, those guys are just telling a bunch of stuff," but they realize that those preachers, the priests and the pastors, if they preach to the flock and tell them good stuff and give them motivational sermons, they have a lot of power. And they're afraid that some of the leaders in the world are afraid that these guys have too much power. But any of the churches that we've attended, the pastors have been really good at telling people where they're at. Now, there's been, in the world today, there's some thought about whether we really need churches or not, but we need to, because a lot of times there's people who have had death in their family. When you experience the death of a loved one, it's a hell of a shock on the man that's left or the woman that's left, and sometimes they need some quietening talk by a pastor, a skilled pastor, just to tell them, sorry about the death, but the person is way better off now because there's no more pain and suffering, and you can rest assured that they're being looked after. They have once the pain and suffering is gone, they're automatically better. We have to realize that once pain and suffering has gone out of our lives, it's going to be a lot better for us. But we have to live our life and appreciate what we got right now in the meantime. And life is good. As a retired person, walking and talking and meeting people and going for coffee and renewing old friendships over the telephone and stuff like that is great. It keeps us alive, and we have to keep our communication skills. So have yourself a great day, and think about the recognition factor. It's so powerful, and think about it as the recognition, instant recognition of the entertainer, where the entertainer entertains, and the minute he's finished entertaining, the audience stand up and clap and give recognition to him. And if we perform well in life, people will probably recognize us a lot better. We can be better accepted in the community, possibly. So have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye for now.